Hi guys, it's Chris Van Hillo with the City of Tampa's Visual Arts team, part 3 of resin. We are going to talk about painting resin onto our wire and our vellum. I'm going to use, I stole another paintbrush out of Sarah's cabinet, shh, don't tell her. So we're going to use a cheap paintbrush, and the minute we're done with it, it's going in the trash. We have printed our material off on this vellum paper, put it through the printer, and I'm going to show you exactly how I did this. So let's get started. So I have all my lyrics to my song here. I'm just going to take my pencil and I'm going to trace around all my shapes on the outside and on the outside. The next thing I'm going to do is just go ahead and cut all these out and try to keep the little pieces of wire with the appropriate song lyrics. And I'm not going to be careful how I cut. I'm not trying to cut on the line, because I know from my experiments earlier in the week that I can always cut after it's dry. I'm putting my wire into position, and I think it's kind of important that you trim close to the top, not necessarily on the sides, but close to the top, because you want to lay it in there and make sure that you have it close to the. I have pre-marked my cup. Again, this is the product I am using, and I'm going to go ahead and mix up my resin in equal ratio. I'm doing 10 and 10. Okay. Before you get started, you want to make sure that your surface area, whatever you're using, is really, really clean. I'm using a silicone mat that I bought to use with my acrylic pours, and it's gotten sticky in a few spots, so take some alcohol, make sure it's really, really clean. The other thing is you want to make sure that your wire is laying down as flat as possible, so you might want to take a popsicle stick and just kind of burnish it and just try to get it to lay down as flat as possible. Okay. I have a really, really cheap brush here. I have mixed up, boy, I got a lot of bubbles in there. I have mixed up the resin, and I'm just going to hold this in my hand and paint it. And I'm going over the lines. This time you can paint outside the lines. I'm just slightly going over the lines. Oops. Going all the way to the edge. I got really close to the edge on this one. Okay, it's a pretty thick coat. Then I'm going to turn this over. Oh boy, was it this one? Yeah. I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to lay it down on top of the wire. It needs to be pulled down. It needs to go over. And you can kind of, it's kind of transparent, so you can kind of see it. Okay. Everybody see that? Then I'm going to take these washers. So these are just flat little washers. Yeah, you could probably use pennies. And I'm just going to add a couple to the top of this just to weight this down. Maybe one on each side. That's it. That's all I'm going to do. This one is really bent. So, turn the wire and make sure you have the flattest side as possible. Got a lot of bubbles in here. So I'm just painting, and I'm holding it in my hand so I don't get it all over the mat. And you can swirl it around if you want. You just want to have a nice coat, nice thin. I'm really not doing it as thin as I can, but the nice thing about resin is, it's really heavy and goopy. So, you know, and don't be afraid to go over the outline. It's really heavy and goopy. And the thing about it being really heavy and goopy is, and that is a technical term, it will be self-leveling, okay? So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to lay it down. And I'm looking for that line that I drew. I'm trying to get it as best as I can on that line that I drew. Whoops. And you can see the words, you can see the letters, so you'll be able to see, like that little J is trying to go out on me. So guess what? No, no, no. And you can push it down a little bit, but don't push it down too hard because you don't want to push it all the way down to your surface. Okay, and then you're just going to take your little washers. And the washers are just trying to help weight it down. This one's kind of big, so I'm going to go ahead and use 4 washers, okay? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do all the rest of these, and then I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to do a second coat on these that I've already done, and we'll add the alcohol inks. Okay, everything's been painted. I have all my little washers down on top of my sheets, and I'm going to wait till tomorrow and before I take them off and see how they look. I'm going to try putting on the second coat of resin. So this time I'm going to just leave it flipped over like this. I'm just going to go ahead and paint inside the little frame that I've made for it. I'm being somewhat liberal here. I'm going to make sure I got it all covered. Okay. Then I'm going to take some blue. I'm going to drop the blue at the top. And I'm going to take some of the orange that I like so much. Put some orange at the bottom. 1 drop, that's all. And then I'm going to, where's the lemonade? I'm going to take the lemonade. Put it in the middle. Everybody see what it's doing? Whoops. Okay, I'll put that out of the way. I'm going to grab the next one. And I'm going to see if I can zoom up. You know how I am with zooming. I'm not very good at this. So I came by, it's Sunday, and I came by the studio. I wanted to see if any of these things had dried. And they're still really, really wet, and I think I've figured out why, and I have to admit this to you guys. When I mixed up the resin, I was not as careful as I should have been, and I think that I did not have equal ratios. I was a little bit over on one than the other. And I honestly think that this not drying is my fault. I don't think it has anything to do with the alcohol inks. So I just wanted to share with you guys. I'm just trying to pick them up and turn them over. And you can see that they're still really goopy and wet. And I'm just trying to, I know I don't have my gloves on, and I'm just trying to lay this down on top. And I don't even think I'm going to be able to. That one's going to be off. They're really, really wet and goopy, and I'm convinced that this is from not measuring efficiently. And I knew when I was doing it, and I thought, oh, it's okay. No, guess what? It's not okay. So when they say equal proportions, they really mean it. So the worst thing that'll happen is they're never going to stick, and I will be able to, now I can't even figure out how it was there. Oh, is it this way? Yeah. It's never going to stick, and I will, okay, I feel like I won't tell you what I feel like, because it's not nice. If I can't get these to cure, I will throw these away, and I will just reuse the wire I'll just throw the little pages away and I'll reuse the wire. Okay, how's that? Okay, the other thing I want to show you guys that I'm kind of excited about, all my little cardinal guys are done, and when I turn them over, they're all dried, and I can do my second coat and add my alcohol inks like I did last week. These are the ones that I showed you the other day, and I did the second coat and then added the alcohol inks, and I'm really, really happy with how those all came out. So let me get a picture of these for you. They're all dry, and I think they all came out really nice. That one, remember I had left them big, and then I'm just going to take the scissors, and I'm probably going to need to get like the little cuticle scissors, some smaller scissors. These things are huge, and I'm really going to have to trim around there. So I think that if you were doing this, you might want to trim where it's really close to the sides, to the top and the bottom, because it's hard to get in there with the scissors. And then, it's not hard at all to get around this part, okay? But it's cutting off really, really well. I just have to get in there to get closer to the inside. But I think that's really cool. And I love the, of course, I gotta peel this off. No. Okay, I love the watercolor effect that I'm getting. I think that's really, really fun. This one's a little dark, but it's kind of cute. I like it. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all of these off. Oh, that's so cute. I'm going to cut all of these off, and then I'll make my necklace. And I will also go ahead and add a second coat on Tuesday and add more alcohol inks to this so I can let you guys know how that turned out. Equal ratios. I went over a little on one, and I was using my little measuring cup, and I went over the 10 mark and just a little bit, and then I thought, okay, well, I'll just go over a little bit on the 20 mark, and guess what? My guessing was not good enough, and it didn't work, so now I'm paying the price. One more thing before I close down for today. These guys, I did take a little punch, one of these little punch, and I was able to come in here and punch a little hole in these because I didn't have that double at the bottom. So I could say for it's 1, 2, 3 strikes you're out, and then this goes on there at the old ball game. So I was able to take the punch and punch through the resin and the vellum. So this is 2 coats of thin resin with the little punch. So if you don't want to take the time to do the double wire, you can punch through the vellum without chipping it or breaking it. Okay, so just be thinking about that in when you do your designs.